And welcome to Barrel Aged Faith plus Transfigured Life.
Let's do the one on fasting to start us off. We have this. I never grew up fasting and I don't have a desire to. How do I start? Well, Frodo, one of the things that we have to address with your concern. Well, Frodo, one of the things that we have to address with your concern that you never grew up fasting and don't have a desire to is remember that Jesus himself said that his disciples didn't fast because the bridegroom was with them. And there would come a time when the bridegroom would not be with them, and he said, and then they will fast. And so we find in Acts that Paul fasted. We find in Acts that the disciples fasted before they selected Matthias. And all kinds of other times presented to the Christian church before and after Jesus' resurrection, opportunities to fast. So the Lord expects us to fast, and so we just have to find a way to do it. So very early on, the Christian church designated as days of remembrance and fasting because of the nature of the days, Wednesdays and Fridays. Wednesday because that's the day the Lord was betrayed, Friday because that's the day he died. That should be pretty obvious. And then, of course, over time, the longer Lenten periods, the Great Lent that we're now in, for example, and later the other fasting periods came about. But the thing about starting fasting is you just, first of all, talk to your priest. He can help you. But we just start. There's no way to do it other than just to start. But I want to say one thing about fasting that may be a benefit to you. Everybody thinks fasting is all about food. Yeah, but there's a reason why it's about food. Now think of it this way. You have to eat to stay alive. You have to eat because it's a biological necessity for you to stay alive. But you don't have to sin. Sin is not a biological necessity, but eating is. So if you can master your body's desire to want to do something that's biologically necessary for you to stay alive, if you can master your body's desire to want to put that stuff, that Twinkie in your mouth or eat, whatever it is you want to eat that you shouldn't be eating, if you can master that, then you can master the urge to sin. Sin is not compulsory. We can master that. The saints have proven that to us, that it can be mastered. Mary proved it to us, it can be mastered. So we fast because fasting is a tool to teach us self-control. Because if we can fast, then we can learn how to control sin. And that's really what fasting is all about. And nowadays, it's not just about food. It's about, social media time and too much TV time and doing all kinds of other nonsense things. That's what fasting helps us develop, is control, self-control over our desires and urges. So talk to your priest about how to start. If you've never done it before, we don't recommend that you jump right into it feet first. That may not be the way to do it. But even during Lent, observing the Wednesday and Friday portions of the fast, for example, those are still times of holy reflection because of what happened to the Lord. And then you build out from that, and you do what you can do. But start slow and talk to your priest and have him work with you. I hope that helps.
Can I tie in fasting with Frodo?
Go.
Lord of the Rings. Frodo and the hobbits, of course, they like to eat. I mean, it's just second breakfast. Like, it's built into their whole lifestyle is to eat a lot, celebrate a lot, and it's a good thing. Like, feasting is a good thing. Coffee hour is a good thing. All those things are good, the feast. But there was also a time where Frodo and Sam had to fast, and that was when they were taking the ring to go destroy it. And they only ate the lembas bread, which for Tolkien, that represents communion. It's wrapped in these leaves from basically the tree of life from Lord of the Rings. And for him, it very much represents the Eucharist. And so he's saying for this spiritual battle, for the good to overcome the evil, that they have to in some ways fast. So I just thought it would be fun to tie in Frodo. I actually wrote an article on this a couple years ago, tying in Frodo with fasting. So it's kind of a funny combo there.
One of your favorite movies, as we heard earlier.
Yeah, it just kind of comes through there. But many of the Desert Fathers talk about connecting fasting with spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
And so it kind of comes to mind, since the Lord of the Rings is loaded with spiritual warfare kind of imagery.
Now, we have a question here. How does the church validate relics? Sometimes hard to believe certain claims about them, but I want to give the church the benefit of the doubt. That's a good question, and it's very much something to which we bear witness, going all the way back to for example, the martyrdom of Polycarp, the martyrdom of Saint Ignatius. You know, when Saint Ignatius was sent into the arena, I think all that was left of him was his heart and something else. And what little was left, his followers came and took them as precious pearls. I think his martyrdom talks about. They took them as precious pearls, and they took them away and they buried them. And so there was a place where Ignatius was buried. And the point was, this stems from an understanding that Orthodox Christians have of the sanctity of the body. When one is baptized, doesn't just have water poured on them. They're not just cleansed of sins. Yes, that happens, but there's more than that happening, because you are united to Christ. And if you are united to Christ, as Paul says, you are a new creation. You're not this old man. You're becoming this new man in Christ. Now, if you're in Christ, there is a certain amount of holiness that you're going to be partaking of. Peter talks about it, and this is one of the things behind our idea of theosis. The idea of becoming godlike is open to you now. So when you become a Christian, and of course we're all on different roads to that on the road to holiness. Certainly, when we have people like Ignatius and Polycarp and others, we're dealing with people who have given their lives for the faith, but not only given their lives, they gave their lives as holy men. And whether male or female, holy men or holy women, those that gave their lives are people that we revere because they did not give in to the world. They sacrificed their own life not to give in to the world, but to bear witness to Christ. And so there's something completely transformative about those kinds of people. And therefore, in death, it's not just their soul that's holy and has somehow ascended to God, but their body, which was holy in this world, is still holy. If it was holy in this world when they were alive, they're still alive. Let's remember that. There's been a parting of the soul from the body, but their bodies are still holy. And in the resurrection of the dead, the soul gets put back with the body, fine. But we're talking about looking at people in a whole different light, given that who they are and what they are at the time of their death. So if they're holy before they died, remember, we're saints now, not in the future. And the church doesn't make us saints. We're already saints. The church canonizes the life of a saint as someone worthy of emulation. Okay, does that make sense? So we're saints now. We're holy now. We've been set apart for holy work now, not just in the future, now. So I hope that helps.
Oh, it's helpful. What else is out there? Let's see.
Father, I thought St. Ignatius of Antioch didn't exist.
Oh.
That's very interesting, because there are some Protestants that believe that, but that has been so totally debunked. That has been so totally debunked. Anybody who believes that, just wake up. Nobody believes that anymore. The Protestants tried to kill that about 150 years ago, because Ignatius was a big problem for them. And now they just can't get around the fact that nobody claims that anymore. So he's real, and you got to deal with him.
And it seems like more stuff is unraveling every day. We recently had an interview. Well, not recently, but Father, there was pseudo Dionysius that we recently.
Dionysius, yeah.
This doesn't seem much. Doesn't seem like there's much advocating for, the arguments that he wasn't, that his corpus is not legit or anything like that. So I think I don't know. Stuff is being unraveled every day. There's some good arguments that I've heard on the other side. And when it seems like scholars are attacking some of these fathers, it's so interesting to me, because it's like if I had to choose between the saints and, some of these scholars that are finding reasons to try to reject whoever, like, who do you think I'm going to choose? Like Saint John of Damascus, clearly referenced Saint Dionysius. And so it's not like, if I had to choose, I'm going with what Saint John of Damascus was saying, as opposed to someone else that is really probably has all kind of bias. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Wise Phone 2, which I currently use as my phone. It's an amazing phone that helps you not doom scroll or be addicted to social media and other vices, because it doesn't have a web browser, but it does function like a phone. You can call, you can text, you can take pictures, you can do videos. It even has apps like Uber and Lyft. You can order food, maps to get around town, all the things that you kind of need in this modern life. While at the same time being able to have a boundary between you and work, or you and distractions. So you can be more present with your family, with your kids, with your spouse, whomever. This has been a very freeing experience for me to have the Wise Phone 2. Again, you can get $40 off through my discount code KING today.